Today on Chasing the Sun.
Oh, I saw that one.
Oh, look at you.
Holy cow, you got the man. So really, when you're fighting these jacks, the only muscles you feel starting to strain is all of them.
To insert ourselves into this whole battle of life and death, and to be able to put your hands on these critters at the moment in which they're fighting super hard to survive.
This is way too much fun. See that, E?
Look at that dude right there.
It's super cool.
Awesome.
Chasing the Sun is brought to you by Island Murata and Stewart Boat Works, from flats to fathoms. Kicker Audio, living loud. Pelican, built to protect. Mercury Marine. And by Z-Man, the science and art of fishing.
Here in Panama City Beach, you know, I mean, fishing was always, it was my life ever since I was a kid. And I always looked at the Keys as the newest, greatest, innovative area for the sport fishing industry. And really it always was. So a lot of the techniques and the things I do, I learned from watching guides down in the Keys and watch them develop these things. So to have someone come from that fishery up here, I'm really looking forward to learning a few new things.
Anytime you put me on a boat with an angler who's of excellent quality, high observation skills, successful, you put these things together, more or less the way I've been looking at this is like a vacation, a stepping back from having to be the ringleader and in guide mode.
I have three things that I look at before I go fishing. Conditions, conditions, and conditions.
What's the mission?
I think if we stay up near the beach, it's gonna be real nice. I love to call around and get reports from all my friends. Where you been at, what you catching, and all that. Nobody's got one right now. In the days prior to us having a cell phone on the water, we used VHF radio to communicate. It's great, we were all able to talk. The problem is, if I wanted to talk to one of my buddies and tell him where I'm at and what I'm catching, everybody else on the radio hears it.
Now, Justin's approach is extremely systematic. We're going here, we're gonna do this. If it's not happening, then we're gonna go do something else, and we're gonna go to B spot, C spot, D spot.
So the conditions I look at, that's scientific fact. Wind speed, wind direction, those are measurable events.
But when you're in guide mode, you're totally different than when you're just in observation and enjoyment mode. The ability to see and feel and put everything together and, you know, trial and error.
And then the best part is once I have a plan, I get to go try to prove that plan to be correct, sometimes not.
I like Ramboing it, just going and seeing what's what. Gotta go find them.
So there's already a lot of natural hard bottom down to the west. And right out in front of the county pier, just a couple years ago, they took a couple retired jets and sunk them out here. All right, Travis, so the front's through. This is what we get. Wind right when that front blows through, and then it goes slick. The sun comes out, warms up, and here we are. So part of planning our fishing days here in the fall is looking at when a cold front's gonna move through. Just a few days after a front passes through, the seas are gonna lay down. Those fish out here haven't fed much in a few days, and the bite is probably gonna be on fire. And as the machine shows, and I can see right here in the water, these jacks are everywhere.
It's like
we're gonna have some fun.
Everybody's coming to feed.
I'd be willing to bet if we set a couple baits in the water right here beside the boat, we're not gonna make a cast. We're just gonna cane pole fish right here, hang them out, and I'm gonna predict we're gonna get hooked up. So let's see if we're right.
This area is famous for its jack fishing. I'm excited.
This is way too cool. Couple of them down there.
Oh, that is a big one. Now we're catching jacks. And by jack, this particular flavor is the amberjack.
Fishing is taking advantage of the life struggle that occurs, the fight or flight, the food chain, which we are not necessarily part of any longer as we progressed as humans. You know, everything else on the planet operates in live or die, live or die, live or die. And to insert ourselves into this whole battle of life and death, and to be able to put your hands on these critters at the moment in which they're fighting super hard to survive, and then to release them back into the water, it's so hard to describe in words. I mean, it's fantastic. And the best part is you can do it over and over and over, and you're really doing no harm. You're actually learning as you go about yourself and the species and how they, hunt prey, and how to approach them, how to coax them into eating our particular plastic or lure or fly or whatever it may be. And the whole experience is just stepping out of time, just for a short moment.
So Travis, I had the opportunity to talk with Dr. Guy Harvey about these reefs right here, because he helped these reefs get put out. And it's one of the few situations where these reefs not only aggregate fish, but they also increase the biomass of fish. So we have a lot of different ways as fishermen to try to bring fish into a certain area so that we can catch them better. But this not only concentrates the fish for us to catch, it actually increases your population of fish.
Nice.
Very cool.
About a year ago, the 2 jets that we have on this project were removed from static display.
One of them was living there between City Hall and Panama City Civic Center. And the second one, which was Rick Seltzer's jet, was out at Gulf Coast State College, formerly known as Gulf Coast Community College.
They were going to be moved to a storage yard away from Bay County, and fishing groups in Bay County wanted to keep the jets here and repurpose the jets for artificial reefs.
The new home's going to be somewhere about 7 miles from us right now. Offshore, from my understanding, 3 miles due south of the county pier.
When we get out on site, the captain will figure out which way the current's running, and we'll hold up in the current on a buoy. And when everything's ready and looks like we're in the right location, we'll deploy the jets one at a time. And it'll be a bit of a slow process, but we'll try to get them real accurate so that they're in a really tight corridor in between reefs. So we'll have to be very careful.
The reefs, as being a former boat captain working offshore here, running charter boats and everything, it's going to be great for tourism, be great for fishing. The fish will make new homes out of them, and a lot of people have a lot of fun.
You'll have small bait fish in a matter of, today there'll be small fish on it, but to really produce a healthy reef, we're looking at probably, we used to tell people a year, but I'd say 6 months to a year, they'll have a really healthy, functioning reef for fishing.
This is way too much fun. Did you see that eat?
Look at that dude right there. Awesome. Yeah, so when they get aggressive like this, there's nothing better than
Come on, get your head
cutting
turned.
the hook off, putting a plug on there. Watch him come bite on the surface. There we go. So one really neat thing about the Seltzer Reef out here is not only that we have these jets on the bottom that these amberjacks are attracted to, it's the fact that they sit on natural limestone hard bottom. And what that does is it creates an ecosystem that has a wide variety of fish. A lot of artificial reefs are any metal structure out here has a lot of bait on it, typically. We'll have amberjacks, cudas. There's certain species you'll see on there more so than on natural bottom. So for about a half-mile radius, it's just life everywhere. So we have really three major zones that we fish. Right along the beach, you know, that we do a lot of inshore stuff, redfish, tarpon, pompano, stuff like that. You know, we're typically in 3 or 4 feet of water or less, real shallow. And then we have this area, this zone out here that's, you know, where most of our reefs are, natural reefs and artificial reefs, from 70 to about 200 feet of water. Oh, it just got loose.
Oh, it broke
I
off.
think the plug come off yet. But then, out beyond that 200-foot wall, it drops off really fast.
30-pound test.
That's exactly right. Sometimes it's what it takes to get the bite, but it won't stand with so much drag.
Good. That was a good pull.
So when we get these jacks to come up to the surface, it gives us an opportunity to catch them on light tackle, where we don't have to drop big, heavy gear, you know, down to them. We actually bring them up to the boat, and it gives us some room to play with them. But when you do get hooked up, they're going, and it can be kind of difficult to slow them down before they make it back down to the wreck. I mean, because you're fishing pretty light line, it's kind of like trying to pull a truck out of the mud with dental floss. But you're talking about the big jacks?
Yeah, the
when
big,
you get
like
where
real
it drops
big
off
ones.
200 foot and beyond, every wreck out there has got them 100-pound plus fish.
Do they come up to the surface like this?
They will.
Now that's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna put a full-blown top
I don't know
water
if
on.
I want to get one of those on spin tackle.
One
out
of them
there.
big boys?
Yeah.
Probably the coolest thing with fishing is that we step out of our environment into their environment. Be it ducks, deer, fish, amberjack, redfish, it's all predicated on basic maneuvers of life, which are procreation, feed.
Whoa! Oh, that's all that one.
Oh, look at you.
Holy cow, you got the man.
All right.
Going over. Do a little dance. Dude, you better hope that one came off.
Oh, come on. I hope he came up.
Because that one was,
Yes.
oh, he did.
Thank gosh.
Oh, mine did too. Oh, I got bit again right there.
When you insert yourself into a situation where you can observe them in their natural environment, it allows us to step away from the chaos and the insanity of the electronic and digital world.
So these jacks pull like a freight train. You usually only want to catch 2 or 3 of them, and your body will start to tell you you need to go look for something else to catch. Probably something smaller and doesn't pull as hard. Now, when we're fighting them, it is definitely a game of power and finesse. You've got to keep them up out of the wreck, but you're fishing with light tackle, so if you just hold the spool and pull on the rod, you're just gonna break them off. Oh, it came off. It didn't get bit though. It just came undone. Holy cow, I'm trying to keep some heat on him. See, that fish doesn't realize I'm trying to keep him up here away from the sharks.
Get out here on these pull hards. These fork-tailed fish that swim really fast and pull hard. You get to play guide. It's fun to feed them. It's almost as fun to feed them as it is to catch them. Play with them a little bit, but feeding them, getting them up, watching them pop, that is so much fun. Probably one of the coolest things in fishing is watching a fish eat a bait, even if it's not on your rod. Just watching them crush, watching them in their elegance in their natural environment is pretty amazing.
So you use the whole body as a shock absorber. When that fish dives, you let him take line, you use your body and give, and then as soon as he stops taking line, you're immediately trying to get that line back so you can keep that fish out of the wreck. Crunch.
That was rad.
That actually looks like a blue run. Or no, that's amber.
No, it was Jack. That was so cool. No, don't think you're hooked. I want to win. Come on.
Keep your head up.
Can't go down. Up.
All right, I'm coming. Keep him up.
Up. Come on. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Get my plastic back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're ready to rock.
That's just too fun.
I mean, every fisherman knows when you're catching fish, obviously the fish are attacking the bait that they're using, or the lure, or the fly, or whatever. But it's not that often that you get to see it like this. I mean, when we're sight fishing, even like redfish on the flats, you might see that fish go over towards your lure, your fly, or whatever, and nose down on it. So you see the bite, you know it happened. But this isn't like, you know, your brain's filling in all those blanks there. You know, you see a tail here, you see a little movement. You see, I mean, there's no filling in the blanks here. You see it all.
This is
You
all.
see him open up that whole mouth, suck it in. If he misses it, his buddy's trying to steal it from him. Very visual.
It's a great aquarium, that's for sure.
Chasing the Sun has been brought to you by Native Eyewear, built for the backcountry. Florida Fishing Products, fish better, fish Florida. Dulce Vida Tequila. Extra Tough, the original fishing boot. And by Visit Panama City Beach.
I am the senior veterinarian for Gulf War Marine Institute, so I oversee the veterinary care for all of the rehab animals that come into our facility, including sea turtles and marine mammals. The main reason that turtles arrive here at the Institute typically is either human interactions, such as boat strikes or fishing interactions where they may try to eat the fish that's on a line, and so they then will swallow the hook and potentially swallow the line, or cold stun events in which the temperature in the surrounding area drops below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and so the turtles, being cold-blooded animals, will decrease their body temperature and not be able to function.
Gulf War Marine Institute works closely with our city and county pier for sea turtle response. We are permitted by National Marine Fisheries Services and also Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. We do receive phone calls from FWC and National Marine Fisheries Services for response to stranded sea turtles or marine mammals.
It's important for fishermen not to cut the line if they accidentally hook a turtle, because the turtle may then swallow that fishing hook and it can become a foreign body in their intestines.
When you catch a sea turtle, a lot of people do, I think they do panic just a little bit because they think it's an endangered species or it's threatened and they're going to get in trouble. But by calling us and contacting us, it allows us to respond to the animal and remove the hooks from them. So you prefer to not cut the line on the animal because they can ingest that. Not only that one, if there could be repeat offenders and may have more than one hook in their mouth.
Hooks do not very often rust away or dissolve as a lot of people unfortunately think. They can last for a very long time, up to years, in a turtle's intestine or in their mouth or in their stomach, and again potentially tear the stomach or tear the GI.
So we do want to bring the turtles in. Call us, we'll bring them in. If we can release them that day, if the hook there's no other hooks there, then we'll let them go. But we want to make sure there's no other ingestions there that can cause secondary illnesses.
An animal can be in rehab anywhere from a couple of days to a few years. It really just depends on what health problems they may have.
While you're visiting our beaches and you come across a sick or debilitated marine mammal or sea turtle, or you happen to catch one while you're out fishing, please contact Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission so we can correctly respond.
When fish get hooked up and all the fighting and the pulling on the line and the disturbance in the water, it brings other fish to you. You know, they may be predators and they may be other like fish. And when you get them turned on, they're, it's hard to rival. And when you get them on the surface, woof, that's fun.
Probably one of the most visual fishing there is in the Gulf, I'd say.
Yeah.
With the ability to throw plastics, the ability to throw fly at them, catch them on live bait, artificials, hard lures.
And they still won't leave us alone.
No, totally out of bait.
Yeah.
Been out of bait for a while. We did feed them a few.
We're done fishing.